More than 200,000 people were killed or disappeared during the civil war which raged in Guatemala for more than 3 decades at the end of the 20th century. To this day, people in that Central American country are searching for their loved ones and are being helped by a dedicated band of forensic anthropologists. Here's our story.
Though Guatemala's long civil war ended more than a decade ago, funeral processions like this one are a somber reminder of the conflict's terrible cost. These coffins hold the remains of long-lost war victims. They're finally being publicly laid to rest after having been unearthed from one of the secret mass graves that continue to be discovered throughout the country. Ceremonies like these offer some measure of spiritual solace to Guatemala's indigenous Mayan people. They believe there is a direct line of communication between the living and the dead, a line that is broken if the deceased are not properly interred. There can be no peace for the victims' families until the remains of their loved ones are buried with dignity. Maria Roquel knows that painful feeling all too well. On a spring day in 1982, her 17-year-old brother Uslendo left their house in the small town of Comalapa and never came home.
When my brother disappeared, he went to the fields. He brought his mattock and his machete, and that was the last time we ever saw him.
Uslendo Roquel is just one of an estimated 50,000 Guatemalans who vanished without a trace during nearly 40 years of civil war. Though the guns have been silent since the government and rebels signed peace accords in 1996, the question of what exactly happened to the disappeared lingers on. Now, in what has become the largest forensic anthropology project in the world, a small army of scientists is painstakingly exhuming remains from hundreds of mass graves. They are literally digging for clues to the fate of those still missing in Guatemala.
We do it because these people deserve the chance to recover the family member that they lost. They deserve for that story to be told.
Freddie Pecorelli is the director of the Guatemalan Forensic Anthropology Foundation, or the FAFG as it's known.
History is wrong right now. In Guatemala, my kids are in 4th and 5th grade, and their social studies books don't cover any of this. It doesn't exist in their books. It's almost as if it didn't happen.
What did happen was a violent conflict between a series of right-wing governments and leftist guerrillas that left an estimated 200,000 people dead. The vast majority of the victims were indigenous Mayans killed by the Guatemalan military.
In those times, you couldn't go to the authorities. It was a very difficult time. Not even in your own house did you feel safe.
Casting light on this dark chapter in Guatemala's past has been the mission of the FAFG since it was founded in 1992. But it's a daunting task. With a staff of just 80, it has investigated 850 mass graves and exhumed 5,000 sets of human remains. This is only a small portion of the dead and the missing.
These are the bodies of over 1,000 different people. All the cases that you see up here are waiting for identification or for reburial.
In the Foundation's lab here in Guatemala City, the victims' bones are cleaned, x-rayed and carefully reconstructed, then examined for cause of death. Shirley Chacon is the lab's director.
Here there are 2 cuts on cervical number 4 and another on 5. These are cutting traumas, so we can give the cause of death as cutting traumas that suggest the individual was beheaded.
Since DNA testing is still too expensive to be used widely, The forensic detectives often rely on information from interviews with family members to identify remains.
En este caso, tenemos información.
In this case, we have information from a relative who told us that her husband suffered a fall and injured his shoulder,
Una caída. Y en base a esa caída se había lastimado el hombro izquierdo.
and that he also had a dental prosthesis.
Tenía una prótesis dental. Entonces podemos observar acá.
Though lacking the kind of technology seen on Hollywood crime shows, Foundation scientists have been able to determine the identities of nearly 70% of those exhumed so far. But with many thousands more yet to be located, a painful uncertainty continues to haunt the families of the disappeared. Although Maria Roquel's brother was missing for more than 20 years, she was unable to accept he was dead.
Cuando se firmó la firma de la paz,
When the peace agreement was signed, we hoped that in the most unexpected moment he will return.
en un momento
But
menos
nothing.
esperado, él se asome por acá, pero nada.
But a turning point came in 2004 when the FAFG began examining graves outside of Maria Roquel's small town of Comalapa. A military base was located there during the armed conflict.
So what we think most likely happened is that people were taken to the base and were probably questioned and tortured. It was a very big area, I mean, a couple of square kilometers. So what we did is we went to the entire area and started looking for depressions in the ground. And in total, we found 45 different graves.
Jamás pensé que
I never
un
thought
día,
that one day
pues,
we were going to find
de que
him.
lo íbamos a encontrar.
But the forensic anthropologists continued digging. For them, each exhumation can mean spending months inside a grave, and that can take an emotional toll.
There's sometimes where I've had to walk away from a grave. I mean, working with children is especially difficult. I remember when my daughter was born, a couple of months later, I had to go and exhume a body of a newborn. The little bones and everything, it can get to you. So step away, take a deep breath, and get back to work eventually.
The scientists' dedication finally paid off for Maria Roquel in 2006, when 25 years of uncertainty abruptly came to an end with a phone call. Her brother's skeleton was among the 220 sets of remains exhumed. The scientists determined that Uslendo had been tied to an avocado tree and shot in the face by soldiers. No one has been charged with the crime.
Al menos, pues,
At
sentimos
least
ese
we
alivio
felt the
que
relief
sí
of burying him in a
podemos
cemetery, which
en
is
un
dignified.
cementerio que es digno. Lo único
The
que
only thing
nosotros
that we
queremos
want
y
and that we
exigimos
demand
ahora
now is justice, because they were innocent, not just him, but so many people.
es